Open the calculator on your phone. Enter the number 8. Multiply by 240. The result is 1,920. That's the number of hours you spend at work each year. Now multiply by 40 years. 76,800 hours of your life. A third of your entire existence. And now the main question. Do you even know what your job is doing to your body all this time? While you're earning money, your body is paying the bills. Heart attacks, strokes, cancer, depression, chronic diseases. I've compiled a list of 33 professions that quietly take years off your life. I'll start with the most common ones, those employed by millions right now. Do you know how many people are sitting in front of their computer screens right now? 80 million in just one country. 80 million people who don't even suspect that their comfortable chair is a slow-motion trap. Mass jobs don't kill with explosions or accidents. They kill quietly, unnoticed, day after day. And the first on the list is the one that every third working person does. Pause. Fact number 1. Pause. Office workers are 80 million death row inmates. Look at your chair right now. Comfortable, right? Adjustable height, soft backrest, armrests. Now imagine it's not furniture, but a trap slowly cutting off oxygen to your cells. Every hour spent sitting takes 22 minutes off your life. This isn't a metaphor. It's the results of a study conducted on 120,000 people. 6 hours at a computer every day reduces your life expectancy by 2 years. Now calculate how long you spend sitting. 8 hours, 10, 12. 88% of office workers have nervous system disorders. Dry eye syndrome is diagnosed in 70%. Spinal problems affect 92%. Varicose veins affect 1 in 2. But that's just the beginning. A sedentary lifestyle triples the risk of thrombosis. A clot breaks loose, and within seconds, it can result in a heart attack or stroke. In Russia, about 1,500 people out of every 100,000 people die annually from thrombosis-related cardiovascular diseases. And most of them are office workers. You know what's worst? Even if you exercise after work, it doesn't negate the damage caused by sitting all day. 8 hours in a chair wreaks havoc on your metabolism so much that an hour at the gym simply can't compensate. Fact number 2. Pause. Programmers and IT specialists are the new generation at risk. Did you think the digital economy was safer than factories and mines? Let's look at the numbers. 12 hours in front of a monitor is the norm for a developer. Deadlines, sprints, releases, coffee instead of sleep, pizza instead of lunch, a chair instead of a walk. 62% of IT workers in Russia complain of chronic back and neck pain. 45% work without ergonomic equipment. 27% of IT specialists have high blood pressure. 18% are obese. 30% of all deaths worldwide are due to cardiovascular disease. And programmers are increasingly becoming part of this statistic. Carpal tunnel syndrome is a professional disease of coders. Numbness in the fingers, shooting pain from the wrist to the shoulder. Nerves are compressed from constant tension. Surgery helps, but only temporarily. Continue typing, and it all comes back. And now, the most terrifying part. Deep vein thrombosis is being diagnosed in programmers as early as 35. 35, an age when people in other professions are just reaching the peak of their careers. But IT professionals are already receiving diagnoses that used to be reserved for retirees. Professional burnout is a whole other story. Constant stress, the inability to disconnect from work, imposter syndrome. Depression among programmers is 40% higher than the national average. Fact number 3. Pause. Drivers and couriers are sedentary death on wheels. 8 hours behind the wheel. No opportunity to get up, stretch, or walk around. Fast food at gas stations because there's no time for a proper meal. Stress from traffic jams, aggressive drivers, and impossible delivery deadlines. The average life expectancy of long-haul truck drivers is significantly lower than that of other professions. Osteochondrosis is diagnosed in 90% of them, varicose veins in 70%. Hemorrhoids are an occupational disease that is not usually discussed publicly. But the biggest killer is cardiovascular disease. Obesity is twice as common among truck drivers as it is among bus drivers. 14% of truck drivers in the US have diabetes, twice the rate of the rest of the working population. Diabetes leads to heart disease, kidney failure, blindness, and lower limb amputations. Imagine losing a leg because you spent 10 years hauling freight across the country. Courier drivers are in an even worse situation. A sedentary lifestyle is compounded by a race against time, 20 orders per shift, fines for being late, no time to go to the bathroom, eat properly, or rest. The body is working itself to the bone, and then there's the constant risk of accidents. Fatigue behind the wheel is deadly. Falling asleep for a second, and a truck veers off the road. Statistics on accidents involving tired drivers are remarkably clear. 1 in 5 accidents is due to drowsiness. Fact number 4. Pause. Salespeople and cashiers are a living hell. 8 hours on their feet, no room to sit. 80% of sales associates develop varicose veins. The veins can't handle the strain, blood stagnates, and blood clots form. Flat feet are another occupational hazard. The arches of the feet collapse from constant strain. The pain spreads to the shins, knees, and lower back. By the age of 40, many salespeople can no longer work. Their legs simply give out. Chronic back pain is diagnosed in 70% of people. Standing straight all day becomes impossible, and you begin to slouch. The spine becomes curved, nerves become pinched, and osteochondrosis develops. Now add to this the emotional burden, rude customers, unfulfilled sales targets, fines for shortages. Salespeople are under chronic stress, hypertension, stomach ulcers, depression. These are standard pitfalls of retirement. Store cashiers also suffer from carpal tunnel syndrome. The endless scanning of items and repetitive hand movements can make their wrists hurt so much that they can't hold a cup. And all this for a minimum wage. Your body deteriorates, your health declines, and your pension will be meager. Because you have the work experience, but you have no savings for medical treatment. Fact number 5. Pause. Teachers and lecturers, burnout as a diagnosis. Chronic stress, low pay, high emotional burden. Teachers don't just impart knowledge. They educate, calm, resolve conflicts, work with difficult teenagers, and report to inspections. Cardiovascular disease rates among teachers are 40% higher than the general population. Hypertension is a professional norm. Heart attacks occur right in the classroom. Strokes occur during parent-teacher conferences. Vocal cords wear out from constant strain. Laryngitis, pharyngitis, and vocal cord nodules can occur. By the age of 50, many teachers struggle to speak, even though their voice is their most important instrument. 60% of teachers develop varicose veins. They're on their feet all day, lesson after lesson, without a proper lunch break. Eat on the run, and then back to the board. Professional burnout is diagnosed in 70% of teachers with more than 10 years of experience. It includes emotional exhaustion, a cynical attitude towards students, and a sense of meaninglessness in their work. Depression, anxiety disorders, and insomnia are also common. Now add to this the constant education reforms, new standards, and mountains of reporting. Teachers spend more time filling out paperwork than preparing for lessons. And for all this, the salary is barely enough to live on. Many teachers rely solely on enthusiasm, but enthusiasm doesn't cure hypertension or restore the nervous system. Fact number 6. Pause. Medical workers, doctors, die before their patients. Sounds absurd, right? The people who save lives are themselves at risk. Burnout among medical professionals reaches 70%. Chronic stress, night shifts, the emotional toll of working with critically ill patients. Doctors witness death every day. They lose patients despite their best efforts. This is devastating to the psyche. Heart attacks occur in doctors 40% more often than in other professions. The average age for a first heart attack is 45. 45. When you've just reached the pinnacle of your professionalism, your body says, "Stop, I can't take it anymore." Night shifts disrupt circadian rhythms. Melatonin production is disrupted, sleep is disrupted, and the immune system is compromised. Doctors who work night shifts are 3 times more likely to get sick. And then there's the constant risk of infection. Hepatitis, tuberculosis, HIV, an accidental needle stick, and months of uncertainty while tests are being processed. Intensive care nurses risk their lives every day, but they don't talk about it out loud. Surgeons spend 8 hours at the operating table. Varicose veins, back pain, and eye strain from working with a microscope are common. By age 50, their hands begin to tremble from the strain. Careers end not because of a lack of knowledge, but because the body fails. And all this comes at a salary that doesn't match the level of responsibility and workload. Medical professionals are leaving the profession because their health is more important. Fact number 7. Pause. Call centers and operators are stressful, with no room for error. 8 hours on the phone. Headset on, microphone in front of mouth, monitor in front of eyes. Hundreds of calls a day, complaints, grievances, insults. The inability to get up, stretch, or step away. Every minute is accounted for. Every call is recorded. Every pause is grounds for a fine. Scripts that must be followed word for word. A ban on emotions. A ban on humanity. Chronic stress from constant pressure. Depression develops in 50% of call center operators. Anxiety disorders affect 40%. Panic attacks occur right in the workplace. Hypertension is the norm. Blood pressure spikes with every embarrassing phone call. Headaches, tinnitus, and vision problems occur. By age 30, many are already on medication. Hearing problems from constantly wearing a headset. Hearing loss develops gradually but is irreversible. And then there are chronic ear infections from dirty headphones, which everyone wears in turn. Hemorrhoids, varicose veins, back pain, the full range of sedentary ailments, plus carpal tunnel syndrome from constant mouse and keyboard use. Call center staff turnover is high. People don't last more than a year. Those who stay longer are rewarded with chronic illnesses for their perseverance. Fact number 8. Pause. Managers and executives, success comes at the cost of heart. Did you think the higher the position, the lower the health risk? It's quite the opposite. Chronic stress increases the risk of heart attack by 80%. 80. Responsibility for dozens, hundreds of people. Decisions that determine lives. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of losing your job. Lack of sleep is the professional norm. 4 to 5 hours of sleep instead of 8. The body doesn't recover. Fatigue accumulates, immunity declines, and memory is impaired. Over time without days off. Meetings, reports, planning, monitoring. The work doesn't end when you leave the office. Emails at night, calls on weekends, thinking about work 24 hours a day. Alcohol as a stress reliever. A corporate culture where after-work drinks are the norm. A glass of wine in the evening turns into a bottle into an addiction. Liver cirrhosis by age 50. Stomach ulcers from constant stress. Gastritis at the very least. Eating on the run, fast food, coffee instead of lunch. The stomach is corroded by its own acid. Heart attacks among top managers happen suddenly. Yesterday he was speaking at a meeting. Today he's in intensive care. Many don't live to see retirement. Those who do receive disability benefits. A successful career often means ruined health. The only question is whether success is worth the price. Pause. But do you think only offices and stressful jobs are dangerous? Now let's talk about an industry where millions of people create beauty every year and pay for it with their health. Welcome to the beauty industry, where every breath is a chemical cocktail. Fact number 9. Pause. Manicurists, breathe in the chemicals. Smell the air in any beauty salon. Can you smell that sweet odor? It's the fumes from nail extension gel, the acetone from nail polish remover, and the alcohol from hand sanitizer. Every breath is a dose of toxins straight into your lungs. For 8 hours a day, a manicurist bends over clients' nails. They file polish, trim cuticles, and apply gel. And here's what's really happening. Fine dust is released into the air. The particles are so small that they pass through any exhaust hood. This dust settles in the lungs, and it stays there forever. The lungs are unable to remove it. With each filing, more and more microparticles of gel, polish, and natural nail accumulate in the alveoli. After 5 years of work, a manicurist's lungs look like a miner's. Asthma develops in 40% of craftsmen with more than 5 years of experience. At first, it's just a cough in the morning, then shortness of breath during exertion. Then, asthma attacks right at work. An inhaler becomes a constant companion. Now about liquids. Gel polish remover is a solvent. Acetone, isopropyl alcohol, ethyl acetate. Open the bottle and the fumes immediately hit your nose and eyes. You inhale them for 8 hours every day. Your liver can't handle the detoxification. Your kidneys are overworked. Alcohol-based sanitizers dry out more than just clients' hands. Technicians sanitize their instruments dozens of times per shift. This causes cracked skin, leading to chronic dermatitis. Gloves help, but they're awkward to use when working with small parts. Primers and degreasers contain volatile organic compounds, VOCs. They evaporate at room temperature. You can't see them, but they're in every breath you take. Headaches, dizziness, and nausea aren't fatigue. They're chronic poisoning. And that's not counting the spinal problems. 8 hours bent over. Your neck gets stiff, your back aches, your lower back hurts. By age 30, herniated discs are the norm. Fact number 10. Pause. Hairdressers breathe chemicals in every breath. Ammonia in hair dyes, hydrogen peroxide in bleachers, formaldehyde in keratin straightening products, toluene in hairsprays. All of this hangs in the salon air. Ammonia corrodes mucous membranes. Eyes water, nose runs, throat is sore. But this isn't just discomfort. Chronic exposure to ammonia leads to asthma, chronic bronchitis, and liver damage. Keratin straightening is the most dangerous procedure. The straightening iron heats the solution to 200 degrees Celsius. This heating releases formaldehyde, a proven carcinogen. Hairdressers who regularly perform keratin treatments inhale doses of formaldehyde that are tens of times higher than safe levels. Bladder cancer is twice as common among hairdressers as in the general population. This is due to constant exposure to hair dyes. Chemicals from the dyes are absorbed through the skin, eliminated through the kidneys, and accumulate in the bladder. Reproductive issues are a separate issue. Toluene and formaldehyde affect hormonal balance. Hairdressers experience miscarriages 1.5 times more often. Infertility is diagnosed earlier than in women in other professions. Varicose veins develop in 70% of hairstylists. They're on their feet all day, cutting, coloring, styling, all while standing. By evening, their legs ache and swell. By age 40, the veins bulge into blue nodules. Carpal tunnel syndrome is caused by repetitive movements with scissors. Fingers go numb, the hand hurts, and it's impossible to hold a comb. Surgery provides temporary relief, but if you continue to use scissors, the pain returns. Fact number 11. Pause. Eyelash extension artists glue in their eyes and lungs. Cyanoacrylate is the base of all eyelash glue, the same superglue that bonds skin in seconds. Only here, it's applied just a millimeter from the client's eye, and they inhale its fumes for 8 hours a day. Cyanoacrylate evaporates during polymerization. These vapors irritate the respiratory tract. 60% of lash artists develop chronic coughs. 30% develop asthma. Allergies can develop at any time. You're working normally today, and tomorrow you'll develop laryngeal edema. The artist's eyes also suffer. Glue fumes cause chronic conjunctival irritation. Redness, tearing, and a gritty sensation in the eyes are common. By evening, it's impossible to look at light. Now about the spine. The lash artist works bent over the client's face. 2 hours per client. 4 to 5 clients a day. That's 8 to 10 hours with a bent neck and back. Cervical osteochondrosis develops after just 2 years of work. Headaches from muscle tension. Dizziness from compressed blood vessels. Numbness in the arms at night. By age 30, many can no longer work. The pain becomes unbearable. Herniated discs in the thoracic and lumbar spines occur after 5 years of work. Pinched nerves, lumbago, and the inability to straighten up. Spinal surgeries at age 35 are common in this profession. Carpal tunnel syndrome is a problem with fine motor skills. I hold tweezers in my hands for 8 hours at a time. My fingers go numb, my hands ache, and my hands shake. My career ends when I can't hold the tweezers anymore. Fact number 12. Pause. Makeup artists, talc and lead in cosmetics. Do you think decorative cosmetics are safe? Let's look at the ingredients. Talc is the base for most powders and eyeshadows. And here's the problem. Talc is mined from the same deposits as asbestos. Natural deposits often contain asbestos fibers. Asbestos is a proven carcinogen, causing lung cancer and mesothelioma. A makeup artist opens an eyeshadow palette. A cloud of talc rises. She applies powder to a client's face. Dust flies into the air. 10 clients a day, 300 days a year. Thousands of inhalations of talc, which may contain asbestos. Lead is found in lipsticks. The heavy metal accumulates in the body. Makeup artists test shades on their hands, sometimes on their lips. Lead is absorbed through the skin and mucous membranes. Chronic poisoning manifests gradually. Fatigue, headaches, memory problems. Formaldehyde is used as a preservative in creams and foundations. A stylist's skin is in constant contact with cosmetics. Dermatitis, eczema, and allergic reactions are common. And then there's airbrushing. Spraying foundation creates a fine aerosol. The particles are so small that they penetrate deep into the lungs, settling in the alveoli. They accumulate over the years. Vision deteriorates from constant eye strain. Working with fine details, applying eye makeup, and drawing eyeliner all require extreme concentration. Myopia progresses. By age 40, many makeup artists wear glasses, even though they started with perfect vision. Fact number 13. Pause. Cosmetologists use lasers and acids. Chemical peels use salicylic acid, glycolic acid, and trichloroacetic acid. Concentrations reach up to 70%. 1 drop on the skin can cause a chemical burn. Cosmetologists work with these acids every day. Gloves protect their hands, but the acid vapors remain. Inhaling the vapors can cause respiratory irritation, chronic rhinitis, and laryngitis. Laser equipment poses another risk. Laser hair removal, vascular removal, and skin resurfacing are all common. Lasers produce smoke, products of burning hair and skin. This smoke is toxic, containing benzene, formaldehyde, and hydrogen cyanide. Cosmetologists inhale this smoke during every procedure. Not all use respirators. They interfere with communication with clients. The result is chronic respiratory diseases, asthma, and an increased risk of cancer. Laser radiation is also dangerous. Even reflected beams can damage the eyes. Chronic exposure leads to cataracts and retinal degeneration. Special glasses provide protection, but not completely. Injectable procedures, Botox, fillers, mesotherapy. Risk of blood poisoning from an accidental injection, hepatitis, HIV, and other infections. Every injection is a lottery. Cosmetologists live with this fear constantly. And then there's carpal tunnel syndrome from small manipulations. Injections require precision, and the hand is tense. Thousands of injections a month. The wrist can't take it anymore. Pain, numbness, and the inability to hold the syringe. Fact number 14. Pause. Massage therapists have hands that break. You think massage is easy? Try pushing through a client's back muscles while they weigh 100 kilograms. Now do it 8 times a day. 90% of massage therapists develop carpal tunnel syndrome. The thumb, which is used for deep pressure, is the first to suffer. Numbness, burning pain, and an inability to bend the finger are common. After 3 years of work, many can no longer make a fist. Arthritis of the hand joints is an occupational disease. Constant strain destroys cartilage. Joints become inflamed, swollen, and painful even at rest. By age 40, a massage therapist's hands look like those of an 80-year-old with arthritis. Varicose veins are caused by standing for long periods of time. Massages are performed standing or leaning over a couch. 8 hours on your feet, with no room to sit down. The veins can't take it. By age 50, your legs are covered in blue knots. Back and lower back pain are caused by poor posture. The massage therapist bends over, shifts their weight onto their arms, and twists to reach distant areas. This causes the spine to become curved, leading to disc herniations. Many massage therapists retire by the age of 40, not because they lack knowledge or experience, but because their hands simply give out. The pain becomes constant. Anti-inflammatory medications provide temporary relief. Surgeries aren't always effective. A massage therapist treats others, but becomes a patient themselves. The irony of the profession. Chapter 3. Let's move from beauty salons to those who build cities, repair cars, and maintain the entire infrastructure. Blue-collar jobs. Did you think they'd become safer in the 21st century? Let's check the numbers. Fact number 15. Pause. Welders. Manganese fumes in their brains. Every time the electrode touches the metal, an arc flashes. The temperature reaches 3,000 degrees. The metal melts, evaporates, and turns into smoke. And the welder inhales this smoke all day long. Welding fumes contain manganese oxide. It is a neurotoxin that accumulates in the brain. It penetrates the blood-brain barrier and settles in the basal ganglia, the same structures affected by Parkinson's disease. Manganese Parkinsonism is an occupational disease affecting welders with over 10 years of experience. It begins with hand tremors, barely noticeable at first. Later, the hands shake so much that it's impossible to hold the electrode. Coordination is impaired, the gait becomes shuffling, and muscle rigidity develops. Unlike regular Parkinson's disease, manganese deficiency develops at a young age. The first symptoms appear between 40 and 45 years of age. By 50, many welders can no longer work. By 60, they are unable to care for themselves. Lung cancer is 2 to 3 times more common among welders than the general population. Welding fumes contain carcinogens such as chromium, nickel, and cadmium. These deposit in the lungs, accumulate in tissue, and cause cell mutations. Cataracts are caused by ultraviolet radiation from the welding arc. Even through a mask, the eyes receive a dose of radiation. The lens gradually becomes cloudy. By age 50, many welders see the world as if through a glass. Lens replacement surgery helps, but vision is never fully restored. Sunburns are corneal burns caused by accidental flashes. They cause unbearable eye pain, tearing, and photophobia. Every welder has experienced sunburns at least once in their life, and for many, it happens regularly. Fact number 16. Pause. Mechanics and locksmiths are all about oil and metal. Their hands are up to their elbows in machine oil, gasoline, diesel fuel, technical fluids. Their skin absorbs it all like a sponge. Lead, cadmium, and benzene are all found in used oils and industrial fluids. Lead accumulates in bones, causing chronic poisoning. Fatigue, headaches, memory problems, and irritability are also common. Many attribute this to age, but in reality, it's chronic intoxication. Skin cancer develops in areas that are constantly exposed to oils. Hands and forearms are where the first growths appear. Oils contain polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which are potent carcinogens. Lung cancer is caused by inhaling gasoline and solvent fumes. A garage or auto repair shop constantly smells of chemicals. It's not just a smell, It's toxic fumes that penetrate the lungs with every breath. Liver cancer is the organ that filters all toxins. The liver, a mechanic, works in overdrive. Cells don't have time to regenerate, leading to chronic inflammation, then cirrhosis, and then cancer. Injuries are a separate statistic. Cars falling off a jack, burns from hot parts, cuts from sharp metal edges. Every mechanic has scars, and many have amputated fingertips. Deafness from constant noise. Engines, hammering, and pneumatic tools. All of these are louder than 80 decibels. Hearing protectors are rarely used. They're uncomfortable to work in. The result is hearing loss by age 40. Fact number 17. Pause. Construction workers are injured every day. Falls from heights, injuries from machinery, working in extreme temperatures. According to statistics, 1 in 3 construction workers suffers an industrial injury during their career. Working at height is the leading cause of death on construction sites. Scaffolding that doesn't hold, safety ropes that don't exist, hard hats that don't protect you from a 10th story fall. One wrong step, and it's all over. Fractures, dislocations, and traumatic brain injuries are a daily occurrence on the construction site. Many continue working even after serious injuries because they have no sick leave, no insurance, no choice. Bones heal improperly, and chronic pain develops. Chronic joint and spine pain by age 50 is the norm. Heavy lifting, awkward work positions, and constant strain on the knees and lower back can lead to herniated discs, arthrosis, and the inability to straighten up in the morning. Working in both cold and heat takes its toll on the body. It's minus 20 degrees Celsius on a construction site in winter and 40 degrees Celsius on a rooftop in summer. Frostbite, heat stroke, pneumonia, it's all part of the job. Vibration disease from working with drills and jackhammers. The constant vibration damages small blood vessels in the hands. Fingers become numb, turn white in the cold, and lose sensation. In advanced cases, tissue necrosis develops. Disability occurs, on average, 15 years earlier than in office jobs. The body simply wears out from the strain. By age 50, many construction workers are no longer physically capable of working. Fact number 18. Pause. Painters and plasterers lead in old buildings. Renovating old housing is the primary job of painters, and in buildings built before the 2000s, paints contained lead. When a painter scrapes off old paint, lead dust rises into the air. It settles on skin, hair, and clothing. But most importantly, it gets into the lungs. Lead is absorbed into the blood, accumulates in the bones, and poisons the body. Chronic lead poisoning develops gradually. Fatigue and headaches begin. Memory problems, irritability, and depression follow. Lead damages the nervous system irreversibly. Solvents are another threat. White spirit, acetone, and toluene are all used daily. Solvent vapors are toxic to the liver, kidneys, and brain. Chronic inhalation can cause damage to the central nervous system. Toxic encephalopathy is an occupational disease common among experienced painters. It causes decreased intelligence, impaired coordination, and hand tremors. The brain literally collapses from chronic intoxication. Dermatitis and eczema on the hands are caused by constant contact with paints and solvents. The skin cracks, bleeds, and doesn't heal. Gloves help, but they're uncomfortable to use with a brush. You have to choose between comfort and your health. Allergies to paint components develop suddenly. The body accumulates toxins for years and then suddenly says, "Stop." Quincke's edema and anaphylactic shock set in. And that's it. A painter's career is over. Fact number 19. Pause. Electricians, electric shock and electromagnetic fields. 1 in 20 electricians will suffer a serious electric shock at least once in their lives. Many die. Those who survive suffer lifelong injuries. An electrical burn is unlike a thermal burn. Current passes through the body, destroying tissue from the inside. The entry and exit points are only visible. Internally, The current burns through muscles, nerves, and blood vessels. Recovery takes months and sometimes is impossible. Cardiac fibrillation from an electric shock. The heart begins to beat erratically and blood flow to the organs is blocked. Without a defibrillator nearby, the person dies within minutes. Many electricians work alone with no help available. Chronic exposure to electromagnetic fields is an invisible threat. Working with high-voltage lines, transformer substations, and powerful electrical installations can cause serious harm. Electromagnetic radiation penetrates the body and affects cells. Leukemia and brain tumors are more common among electricians than the general population. Research has proven the link to electromagnetic fields, but safety regulations remain unchanged. Changing them would mean admitting that millions of people work in hazardous conditions. Cataracts from electric arcs. A short circuit can cause a flash brighter than the sun. Even a brief glance at an arc can damage the lens. Experienced electricians develop cataracts 10 to 15 years earlier. Falls from heights during power line installation. Power poles, towers, building roofs. One wrong move and you're out. Spinal fractures, head injuries, disability, or death. Fact number 20. Pause. High-rise installers are one step away from death. They assemble metal structures 20, 30, 50 stories high. The wind rocks the beam you're standing on. There's nothing beneath your feet. There's safety net, but it doesn't always save you. 1 in 10 high-rise workers dies or becomes disabled during their career. This is not an exaggeration. It's a statistic. Falls from height are the leading cause of death. You either have a fear of heights or you don't. Those who do are simply not accepted into the profession. Those left behind are those without a survival instinct, or those who have learned to suppress their fear. And that's dangerous, because fear is a defense mechanism. Without it, a person takes greater risks. Injuries from falling tools and materials. A wrench dropped from the 20th floor travels with the speed of a bullet. A blow to the head, and even a hard hat won't save you. Installers working on top of each other. One dropped a tool, the other died. Frostbite in winter, heat stroke in summer. At high altitudes, the wind is always stronger. In winter, the cold penetrates to the bone. Fingers go numb and lose feeling. Unable to hold a tool properly, the risk of falling increases. In summer, temperatures at altitude are higher than on the ground. Metal structures become hot in the sun. Working at altitude requires wearing gloves, a hard hat, and protective clothing. Heat stroke, dehydration, and loss of consciousness at altitude are fatal. Chronic joint pain from working in extreme positions. Installers often work in awkward positions, kneeling on a narrow beam, hanging from a safety harness. Joints wear out, and arthrosis develops. Fact number 21. Pause. Meatpacking plant workers are a breeding ground for blood and infections. The carcass cutting conveyor moves non-stop. One worker, one type of cut. Thousands of identical knife movements per shift. Cuts are a daily reality. The knife is sharp, your hands slip from blood and grease, and the conveyor belt never stops. Cut your finger, put a bandage on it and keep working. A deep cut, get stitched up, and a week later you're back on the conveyor belt. Finger and hand amputations are not uncommon. Meat grinders, saws, and chipping machines are all common. 1 second of inattention and a finger is in the meat. Many meatpacking plant workers end their careers without several fingers. Zoonotic infections are diseases transmitted by animals. These include brucellosis, foot and mouth disease, anthrax, and leptospirosis. Animals in slaughterhouses aren't always healthy. Veterinary inspections exist, but they aren't 100% effective. Workers come into contact with contaminated meat, blood, and entrails. Brucellosis causes fever, joint pain, and damage to the nervous system. It becomes chronic and requires months of antibiotic treatment. Many meatpacking plant workers have contracted brucellosis at least once. Carpal tunnel syndrome from repetitive knife movements. After 3 years of work, hands begin to go numb. After 5, the pain becomes constant. After 7, it's impossible to hold a knife. Career over. Working in the cold. The cutting rooms are cooled to +4 degrees Celsius, 8 hours in the cold every day. Arthritis, arthrosis, chronic bronchitis, pneumonia. The average life expectancy of meatpacking plant workers is 7 to 10 years lower. Fact number 22. Pause. Garbage collectors, bacteria, fungi, injuries. Every trash can is a gamble. You never know what's inside. Broken glass, rusty nails, used syringes, rotting waste. Hepatitis is an occupational hazard. The infection is transmitted through blood. An accidental needle stick or a cut on the sharp edge of a tin can can cause the virus to spread through the blood. Many garbage collectors work without gloves or wear cheap gloves that are easily punctured. Infections from accidental needle sticks. People throw used syringes in regular bags. A garbage man grabs the bag. The needle punctures a glove and skin. Months of waiting for test results. Fear of infection. Fungal diseases from contact with organic waste. Mold spores, rotting food, and damp environments are all ideal conditions for fungi. Skin infections, nail fungus, and lung damage from inhaling spores can occur. Chronic respiratory diseases from inhaling bacteria and dust. Garbage contains millions of bacteria. When dumped into a garbage truck, it creates a cloud of dust and microorganisms. Garbage workers inhale this every day. Chronic bronchitis, asthma, pneumonia. Injuries from garbage truck compactors. The machinery crushes trash with tremendous force. Instances where garbage workers have gotten their hands or feet caught in the compactor have resulted in amputation, and sometimes even death. The risk of industrial injuries is 3 times higher than average. Falls from the running boards of garbage trucks on slippery roads, collisions with other vehicles, and injuries from heavy bins are common. Work begins early in the morning, in the dark, often in poor weather. Visibility is poor, and the risk of accidents is high. Pause. And now, professions that are not usually discussed out loud. Those where danger is hidden behind white coats, sterile offices, and respectable status. Specialized risks that kill slowly and unnoticed. Fact number 23. Pause. Dentists are a chemical cocktail of static electricity and blinding light. 8 hours on your feet in the same position, leaning over the patient at a 30-degree angle. Your neck is tense, your back is arched, and your lower back is in constant tension. Acrylic fumes from temporary crowns hang in the air. Formaldehyde from disinfectants irritates mucous membranes. Ozone from ultraviolet lamps used to cure fillings. Methyl methacrylate from working with dentures. Dentists inhale all of this every day. Varicose veins develop in 70% of dentists by age 40. They're on their feet all day, unable to sit down. Blood pools in the veins, and the valves become unresponsive. Their legs swell, hurt, and become covered in spider veins. Chronic back and neck pain is a common occurrence. Cervical osteochondrosis is diagnosed after just 3 years of work. Lumbar disc herniation occurs after 5 years. Many dentists can't straighten up after a full day of work. Now about vision. Constantly focusing on tiny details under the bright light of the operating lamp. The eyes are strained to the limit. Myopia progresses with each passing year. 45% of dentists work in glasses with a diopter of -3 or more. Cataracts develop earlier than in people of other professions. Constant exposure to bright light destroys the lens. By age 50, many dentists see the world through a fog. Carpal tunnel syndrome from working with small instruments. Drills, scalers, and probes all require precise hand movements. After 10 years of work, fingers go numb and hands tremble. It's impossible to hold the instrument. The average dental career lasts 25 years, after which hands and eyes simply give out. Fact number 24. Pause. Radiologists. Exposure behind a lead apron. Do you think a lead apron provides complete protection from radiation? It protects vital organs, But the arms, neck, and legs remain unprotected. Every X-ray is a dose of radiation. It's small, within normal limits. But a radiologist takes dozens of images a day, 300 workdays a year, thousands of images over the course of a career. The dose accumulates. Low doses of radiation are considered safe. However, the cumulative effect remains. The body is unable to eliminate radiation. It remains in cells, damaging DNA and causing mutations. The incidence of oncology among medical radiologists is 30% higher than the general population. Thyroid cancer is the most common form because the thyroid gland is not protected by the apron. Leukemia is caused by bone marrow irradiation. Breast cancer is more common among female radiologists. Cataracts from chronic radiation exposure. The lens of the eye is particularly sensitive to radiation. Even small doses cause clouding over time. By age 50, 40% of radiologists are diagnosed with cataracts, infertility, and reproductive problems. Radiation damages reproductive cells. In men, sperm quality decreases. In women, the risk of miscarriage and congenital defects in children increases. The dosimeters worn by radiologists show the official dose, but they measure radiation on the chest, where the apron is. The arms receive a dose several times higher. And this dose is not recorded anywhere. Fact number 25. Pause. Dry cleaners. Perchloroethylene. It's a solvent used for dry cleaning clothes. It's a colorless liquid with a characteristic odor. It's also one of the most dangerous carcinogens. Perchloroethylene evaporates at room temperature. Every time the machine is opened after cleaning, the vapors escape. Dry cleaners inhale them with every cycle. Dozens of cycles a day, thousands a year. Liver cancer is the main threat. The liver filters perchloroethylene from the blood. Liver cells become damaged, leading to chronic inflammation, cirrhosis, and then cancer. Many dry cleaners die from liver cancer, even if they never drank alcohol. Kidney cancer is the second most common form of cancer. The kidneys remove toxins from the body. Perchloroethylene damages the renal tubules, causing cell mutations. Neurological disorders from chronic intoxication. Dizziness, headaches, impaired coordination, memory problems. Perchloroethylene dissolves fats, and nerve tissue consists of fatty sheaths. The toxin literally corrodes the nerves. Depression and cognitive impairment. Chronic poisoning affects the brain. Dry cleaners complain of constant fatigue, apathy, and an inability to concentrate. This isn't laziness, it's toxic encephalopathy. Perchloroethylene is gradually being banned in developed countries, but it's still used in many places because it's cheap and effective, and the health of workers is a cost no one considers. Fact number 26. Pause. Farmers have pesticides in their blood. Glyphosate, neonicotinoids, organophosphates. The names are complicated, but the idea is simple. They're poisons. They kill insects, weeds, fungi, and they slowly kill those who spray them. Spraying fields is a major part of a modern farmer's work. A backpack sprayer is strapped to the back, a nozzle in hand. Pesticide mist settles on skin, hair, and clothing. Even a respirator doesn't provide complete protection. A cancer of the lymphatic system, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Numerous studies have proven the link to glyphosate. The largest agrochemical corporation has lost dozens of lawsuits and paid billions in compensation. But glyphosate is still sold and used. Parkinson's disease is twice as common among farmers as in the general population. Pesticides accumulate in the brain, affecting the same structures as in idiopathic Parkinsonism. Tremors, muscle rigidity, and gait disturbances are common. Reproductive problems include decreased sperm quality in men, menstrual irregularities in women, increased risk of miscarriage, and congenital defects in children. Pesticides are hormonal disruptors. They mimic the action of hormones, disrupting the entire endocrine system. Chronic fatigue, depression, cognitive impairment. Farmers attribute this to hard work, but in reality, It's chronic pesticide poisoning. They affect the brain, nervous system, and psyche. Skin conditions include dermatitis, eczema, and ulcers. Pesticides corrode the skin upon direct contact. Protective clothing helps, but working in overalls is impossible in the heat. Farmers wear t-shirts. The skin absorbs the toxins. Fact number 27. Pause. Flight attendants and pilots. Cosmic radiation at altitude. At 10,000 meters, the atmosphere is thinner, and protection from cosmic radiation is weaker. An airplane crew receives a radiation dose comparable to that of a radiologist. Cosmic radiation consists of protons, neutrons, alpha particles, and gamma rays. They penetrate aircraft skin and the body, damaging cells at the molecular level. A single transatlantic flight is a radiation dose equivalent to several X-rays. A flight attendant flies 4 to 5 times a week. Pilots fly even more often. The dose accumulates. Breast cancer is 50% more common among flight attendants than among women in other professions. Research has proven a link to space radiation, but airlines don't publicize it. Melanoma, a skin cancer, is also more common. Cosmic radiation damages the DNA of skin cells. Melanoma is one of the most aggressive types of cancer. It metastasizes quickly and is difficult to treat. Reproductive problems among female flight attendants. There's an increased risk of miscarriage, especially in the first trimester. Doctors recommend that pregnant flight attendants return to the ground as early as possible. However, many hide their pregnancies for fear of losing their jobs. Circadian rhythms are disrupted by constant jet lag. The body doesn't know whether it's day or night. Melatonin production is disrupted, sleep is disrupted, and the immune system suffers. Chronic fatigue, depression, and weakened immune systems are common among flight crews. Fact number 28. Pause. Police officers. Stress, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. Every mission is an uncertainty. A fight, a shootout, a chase. You never know if you'll make it back alive. Chronic stress from constant readiness for danger. The body is on alert 24 hours a day. Even at home, on the weekend, a police officer can't relax. The brain is constantly scanning for threats. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death among police officers. Heart attacks occur suddenly, often while on duty. Chronic stress increases blood pressure, damages blood vessels, and causes arrhythmia. The average age at first heart attack is 45. The average life expectancy after retirement is 5 years. 5. People retire at 50 and die at 55 because the body is worn out. Stress, irregular hours, night shifts, it all adds up. 30% of police officers are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Flashbacks, nightmares, panic attacks, and an inability to cope with crowds are common. Many police officers have witnessed death, violence, and tragedy. It leaves its mark. Alcoholism as a way to cope with stress. A corporate culture where drinking after shift is the norm. One glass turns into a bottle. Alcohol addiction develops unnoticed. By the age of 50, many police officers are already heavy drinkers. Injuries during arrests, pursuits, and operations. Fractures, stab wounds, gunshot wounds. Many police officers end their careers with disabilities, and compensation doesn't even cover a small portion of the damage to their health. Pause. And finally, those who are aware of the risks. Those who go to work, fully aware they may not return. Extreme professions, where death is not a metaphor, but a statistic. 5 final facts about those who face danger every day. Fact number 29. Pause. Firefighters. Toxins in every smoke. Do you think the main threat to a firefighter is the fire? You're wrong. The main threat is what's burning. Modern buildings are full of synthetic materials, plastic windows, polyurethane furniture, synthetic carpets, foam insulation. When all of this burns, it releases toxic substances, dioxins, cyanides, formaldehyde, benzene, toluene, carbon monoxide. Every fire is a chemical attack. A respirator protects the lungs, but only while the firefighter is in the flames. After extinguishing the fire, the mask is removed, but the toxins remain in the air for several hours, settling on clothing, skin, and hair. The firefighter takes them home, inhales them in the car, in the locker room, and at home. Firefighters have a 60% higher cancer rate than the general population. These include lung, bladder, prostate, and colon cancers, as well as lymphoma and leukemia. Smoke toxins accumulate in the body for years. Diagnosis is typically made 10 to 15 years after the first fires. Cyanide is one of the most dangerous gases when burning synthetic materials. It binds to hemoglobin in the blood, blocking oxygen from reaching cells. Chronic exposure to low doses of cyanide damages the nervous system, heart, and thyroid gland. Cardiovascular disease is the second leading cause of death among firefighters. It's a sudden transition from rest to extreme exertion. You're sitting at your station, drinking tea, and the next minute you're running into a burning building, lugging hoses weighing 20 kilograms. The heart can't take it. Heart attacks occur right at the fire. Post-traumatic stress disorder from what they see. The charred bodies of children. People who couldn't be saved. Screams from the fire. It's unforgettable. Many firefighters suffer from nightmares, depression, and panic attacks. Injuries include structural collapses, gas explosions, and burns. 1 in 5 firefighters suffers a serious injury during their career. Fractures, third-degree burns, and respiratory injuries are common. Many become disabled long before retirement. Fact number 30. Miners. Minus 18 years of life. A kilometer-deep descent underground. Darkness, dust, the noise of machines, temperatures above 40 degrees, humidity at 100%. 8 hours in this hell every day. Coal dust hangs in the air. Respirators are available, but they don't provide complete protection. Small coal particles penetrate deep into the lungs, settle in the alveoli, and remain there forever. Pneumoconiosis is a disease of black lungs. Coal dust causes chronic inflammation. Lung tissue is replaced by connective tissue. The lungs become rigid and unable to expand. Breathing is labored. Shortness of breath occurs even at rest. Oxygen deprivation destroys all organs. Silicosis is caused by inhaling quartz dust while working in rock. Quartz is sharper than coal, cutting into the lungs at the microscopic level. Fibrosis develops, and the lungs turn to stone. Silicosis has no cure, only slows down. The final stage is excruciating suffocation. Lung cancer is 4 times more common among miners than the average person. Coal dust is a carcinogen. Chronic inflammation creates conditions for cell mutations. Methane explosions are sudden and deadly. Methane builds up in a mine, and a single spark triggers an explosion. The resulting shockwave, collapse of the mine shaft, and fire. Dozens of miners die. Those who survive suffer severe burns and injuries. Rock falls. Every miner knows this fear. The supports give way. The rock collapses. It crushes, burying you alive. Rescuers dig for hours. Many are unable to be rescued. They suffocate under the rubble. The average life expectancy of a miner is 57 years, compared to the national average of 75 for men, 18 years less. A miner spends almost 2 decades of his life underground. Fact number 31. Pause. Deep-sea fishermen are the most dangerous profession in the world. According to workplace fatality statistics, commercial fishing leads the industry by a wide margin. Mortality rates are 29 times higher than the national average. Storms on the ocean are not like waves on the shore. Waves are 10, 15, 20 meters high. The ship tosses and turns like a splinter. The deck is slippery with water and ice. One false step and you're overboard. In icy water, a person loses consciousness within 5 minutes. Death within 15. Hypothermia is a constant threat. Fishermen work on deck in storms, freezing temperatures, and icy spray. Clothes get soaked. The wind cuts right through them. frostbite on fingers, ears, and noses. In severe cases, amputation is possible. Drowning occurs when someone falls overboard. A life jacket doesn't always save the boat. In a storm, a boat can't turn around quickly. A person in the water is left behind. Searching in the dark, in the waves, is almost hopeless. Many fishermen simply disappear into the ocean. Injuries from heavy equipment, winches, tensioned ropes, heavy nets. A rope snaps and lashes with the force of a whip. Fractures, amputations, fatal injuries. A heavy net breaks and knocks a person overboard. Overtime without sleep. When the fish are running, the team works for 20 hours straight. Fatigue dulls reaction time. Mistakes become fatal. Isolation and lack of medical care. The ship is at sea for months. If an injury or heart attack occurs, help will arrive in hours or days. Many die before evacuation. Chronic illnesses from working conditions. Arthritis from cold and dampness. Respiratory diseases. Hypertension from stress. But most importantly, every fisherman knows he may not return for the next trip. Fact number 32. Pause. Loggers are falling trees. The mortality rate among loggers is 23 times higher than the national average. It's the second most dangerous profession after fishing. A tree 30 meters tall and weighing several tons falls at high speed. Where it falls depends on the slope, the wind, and the structure of the trunk. The logger calculates the trajectory, makes a cut, and retreats to a safe area. But the tree doesn't always fall as planned. A hanging tree is one of the most dangerous situations. The tree is caught in the branches of neighboring trees, hanging at an angle. It can fall at any moment, in any direction. Removing it is a deadly task, but leaving it behind is impossible. Every year, dozens of loggers die under hanging trees. A branch that bounces off when a tree falls. A thick branch breaks off when the trunk hits the ground. It flies back toward the logger. 100-kilogram impact from a height of 10 meters. Even a helmet doesn't always save the day. Skull fractures, instant death. A chainsaw is a dangerous tool in the hands of even an experienced person. The chain spins at several thousand revolutions per minute. One wrong move and you'll suffer a deep cut. A severed artery in the thigh, a severed artery in the arm, death from blood loss in minutes. Help won't arrive in time in the forest. Bears, ticks, venomous snakes. Loggers work in the wild. An encounter with a bear can end tragically. Ticks carry encephalitis and Lyme disease. A tick bite can lead to lifelong disability. A tree falling on a leg or body. If a tree pins a logger, saving them is nearly impossible. Communication with base is often lost. Help will arrive within hours. Crush syndrome, caused by prolonged compression, can lead to death even after release. Work in any weather: frost, heat, rain, snow. In the cold, your hands go numb, making it hard to hold a saw. In the heat, you can dehydrate and get heat stroke. In the rain, it's slippery and visibility is poor. But the plan must be met, and so the loggers head into the forest. Fact number 33. Pause. Nuclear power plant workers are an invisible threat. Low doses of radiation are considered safe. International standards set permissible exposure limits. But the cumulative effect remains. Nuclear power plant workers receive a dose of radiation every day. It's small, within normal limits, but the body can't completely repair radiation damage. Cell DNA is damaged. Some cells die, others mutate. Leukemia, a blood cancer, is more common among nuclear power plant workers than the general population. Bone marrow is particularly sensitive to radiation. Small doses accumulate, and leukemia develops within 10 to 15 years. Thyroid cancer is caused by the accumulation of radioactive iodine. During reactor operation, iodine 131 is released. It enters the air, is inhaled, and accumulates in the thyroid gland. It has a half-life of 8 days, but during this time it can cause damage. Genetic mutations are passed on to children. Radiation damages reproductive cells. Children of nuclear power plant workers have an increased risk of congenital abnormalities, genetic diseases, and cancer. This has been proven by studies conducted after accidents at nuclear power plants. Emergency situations occur when radiation doses exceed permissible limits by tens or hundreds of times. Emergency responders receive lethal doses, even knowing they are exposed. Many die weeks later from acute radiation sickness. Those who survive suffer chronic illnesses and early death. The psychological pressure of working with a hazardous source. A nuclear power plant worker is close to the reactor every day. They know that one mistake could spell disaster, that the consequences will affect not only them, but thousands, even millions of people. This burden of responsibility is psychologically devastating. Dosimeters show official figures, but no one counts radiation exposure from internal contamination. Radioactive dust settles on the skin and enters the body through food and water. Alpha radiation from such particles is not detected by external devices, but it's there, and it kills cells from the inside. Pause. 33 professions, millions of people. One truth: your job can shorten your life, not necessarily catastrophically, not necessarily tragically, but slowly, imperceptibly, through chronic illnesses that develop over years. You've heard all the facts. Office workers with varicose veins, thrombosis, and diabetes by age 40. Manicurists whose lungs gradually become clogged with microdust. Welders with the first signs of manganese-induced Parkinsonism by age 50. Miners with incurable pneumoconiosis. Fishermen for whom every trip carries the risk of not returning. What do all these professions have in common? Cumulative effect. One day of work won't kill you. 1 hour in a chair won't give you a blood clot. One inhalation of gel won't destroy your lungs. But 10 years of daily work is a completely different story. Medical statistics show that occupational diseases develop 5, 10, or 15 years after starting work. By the time symptoms appear, the process has already begun. Varicose veins won't disappear if you stop standing. Dust won't be cleared from your lungs. Nerve damage from lead won't heal. The system doesn't intentionally hide this information. It simply doesn't emphasize it. Official statistics on occupational diseases exist. Research is conducted. But when you apply for a job, they don't tell you that after 10 years of standing behind a counter, you'll develop varicose veins. That after 5 years of working in a salon, you'll develop asthma. That a sedentary lifestyle increases the risk of heart attack by 80%. They talk about salary, schedule, career advancement, but not about the price your body will pay. Still think this doesn't apply to you? Look at the list again. Sedentary work accounts for 1 in 3 employed people. The beauty industry is growing every year. Blue-collar jobs haven't disappeared. Doctors, teachers, police officers, millions of people. The chances are high that your profession is on this list, but knowledge is a protective tool. Now you understand the real risks. You can make informed decisions. Demand good ventilation. Take breaks every hour. Use protective equipment. Get regular checkups. Change professions if you see your health is deteriorating. Small changes to the workflow can actually reduce risks. An ergonomic chair and hourly breaks reduce spinal problems by 40%. High-quality exhaust ventilation in a beauty salon reduces airborne toxins by 5 times. A respirator for a welder can mean the difference between healthy lungs and pneumoconiosis. Your health is your responsibility. Your employer provides you with work. The state sets standards. But monitoring your body, noticing warning signs, and seeking medical attention promptly are all within your control. Are you ready to make a change? Set a reminder to get up every hour. Buy a high-quality respirator. Demand better working conditions. Or at least just start paying attention to your body's signals. These aren't scare stories. These are medical facts from official statistics, scientific research, and WHO data. Occupational diseases exist. They are diagnosed. They are treatable, if caught early. If this story has made you think, that's already a result. If you now view your workplace differently, that's important. If you decide to change something, it could save you years of healthy life. Subscribe to the channel to learn the truth that's not spoken out loud. Here you'll find stories that make you think, facts that change the world, and investigations that reveal the unvarnished reality. Like this post if you recognize your profession on this list. Share in the comments which of these you've already encountered. And most importantly, take care of yourself, because there's no substitute for good health.